Well, Congress is done playing with Shawn Fain, president over at the UAW. They had to put the pinky out on that one. This one is very interesting. I'm going to put some documents up on the screen right after this. So welcome on back to TK's Garage. So I'm going to put these up on the screen as we go. But this is from the Committee on Education and Workforce. U.S. House of Representatives, came straight from Washington, D.C., was issued on September 11th to Shawn Fain, the president of the UAW. And let's just get into it. Dear Mr. Fain, the Committee on Education and Workforce is investigating whether the International Union, United Automobile, Aerospace, and Agricultural Implement Workers of America, aka the UAW, and its responsible officers breached their fiduciary duties under the Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act, LMRDA, by failing to reinvest hundreds of millions of dollars in unused strike benefit funds in accordance with the union's own investment policy. Reportedly, the UAW sold roughly $340 million in stocks to help cover strike benefits. Any funds that weren't used were expected to be reinvested, according to the union's existing investment policy. Yet more than a year later, the promised reinvestment has not occurred, costing UAW members an estimated $80 million in foregone gains. And they're talking about the market doing this, okay? The committee seeks to understand the accuracy of these allegations and whether the alleged conduct suggests a need for reforms to the LMRDA. The consequences of this alleged mismanagement are significant. As a result of this failure, UAW members could face higher union dues or reduced strike benefit payouts as the UAW attempts to recoup the gains it forfeited. Further, the alleged lapse potentially would have denied UAW members the full benefit of the historic market rally after the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ each notched record highs in the months following Trump's election. This alleged mismanagement constitutes a serious abridgment of statutory duty. Section 501A of the LMRDA states that union officers and representatives occupy positions of trust in relation to the organization and its members as a group. The statute also requires union officers and representatives to manage, invest, and expend union funds in accordance with the Constitution and bylaws and any resolution of the governing bodies adopted thereunder. Any prolonged failure to restore the strike and defense funds equity allocation would appear inconsistent with these statutory duties and would raise serious concerns about the stewardship of the UAW members' dues. This doesn't look good for Shawn Fain. Look, I'm biased. I've already told you before. I think Shawn Fain is a friggin' ass clown. All right, I think he's an absolute blowhard ass clown and doesn't give a shit about any of you guys that actually assemble these vehicles in Detroit and other places that UAW operates. I'm just saying. So Congress came to him and said, hey, we want to know a few things. They said, hey, you need to, one, identify by title each UAW official who approved and executed reinvestment decisions during the period from August 23 to June of 25 and describe that officer's role. Other than those officers identified in the above request, identify by title each UAW officer who had any authority or responsibility with respect to the reinvestment of liquidated but unused strike fund assets during the period of August 23 to June of 25 and describe that officer's role. 3. Give an explanation of why the UAW's equity allocation remains substantially below its policy target for more than 12 months. 4. Identify the UAW's estimate of gains foregone or losses incurred because of the delayed reinvestment and the methodology used to calculate the estimate. 5. Answer whether any fiduciary responsibility or fiduciary liability insurance carrier has been notified of a possible claim. 6. Provide a summary of UAW's engagement with its court-appointed monitor regarding the delayed reinvestment. And lastly, 7. Provide a description of what specific steps the UAW took between November of 23 and June of 25 to restore the Strike Defense Fund's equity allocation to its target level. In this description, please include the dates, amounts, and reinvestments. Why is this a problem? And this comes from Rick W. Allen, chairman on the Subcommittee of Health, Employment, Labor, and Pensions. Why is this a problem for Shawn Fain? It's mismanagement. It's right. I mean, could he fight it? Could he say, hey, we didn't think the market was going to do good, so we didn't reinvest? Probably be the excuse. But if we're just keeping it a buck here, if we're just keeping it 100, so to speak, no, he screwed up. He doesn't understand fiduciary responsibility. He mismanages funds. He blew millions of dollars at a political convention for the DNC when a majority of his members weren't going that way. That's bad. One thing after another. And I don't want to talk about inside stuff I may or may not know and what the monitor is doing, and that the government might just remove this SOB as president. But this is just another, you just put these straws on the camel's back, and eventually that thing's going to do this. Boom. You only can put so many of them up there, and Fain is screwing up time and time and time again. And who does it hurt? It doesn't hurt like the general public, like me or you, if you're watching this video and you don't understand this, but a lot of UAW members do watch this channel, and they do. Their livelihoods depend on it. They make their money, they make how much they make, they get the benefits they get because they organized and fought together to ask and put together contracts to get what they're getting. And when you have somebody like Fain who doesn't really, I almost feel like he's way in over his head, just way in over his head. And I'm just speaking to that as a business guy. When you start putting in, your family members and other stuff into positions at the UAW, that looks a little bit like nepotism. That's a problem. And then when you start retaliating against competition or somebody that might run against you later or in the future for president at the UAW, or may not like how you're operating things and, be a squeaky wheel, instead of you fixing the issues with the squeaky wheel, you just try to take the wheel out. And that's organized crime-esque. That's not union, all right? And I know a lot of you are going to get in the comments and go, well, they're the same thing. Not really. That said, it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. Like I said, I told you, I know that they have to go back through and do votes and do some other stuff with the different local UAW offices to get the trial, to get Shawn Fain out. But it may not even come to that. The monitor might just remove this SOB. And I think, to be honest, I've already told you my opinion on who I think should be the president. I'm not a UAW member, so that doesn't carry a lot of weight. But I can only talk about the people that I've met in person and some of these people that will be running for president and people that I know actually care about the people on the ground and come from actually doing that every day, knowing what it's going to take to protect those jobs and bring some of those jobs back. And I already told you before. I told you it's Brian Keller. That's who it is for me. That said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. If you're a union member, if you're a UAW member, sound off in the comments on what you think about this letter. Do you think it's just the government leaning on Fain? I'm here for it. I'm all here for it. But anyways, until next time, thank you guys very much for watching. I truly appreciate it. And as always, stay petty, my friends.